Welcome to the classroom. Please like, share, and subscribe to our channel.
Michael Porter created Porter's 5 Forces model. I take a more detailed look at this model because it is an area for concern for every business out there. And most importantly, it can help in building a sustainable strategy for the success of your business. Porter's model covers, amongst other factors, the threat of potential and new entrants into the industry, the bargaining power of buyers in your industry, the bargaining power of suppliers in your industry, the threat of products which could act as substitutes to the products which you sell. Overall, these factors will be driven by the competitors in your industry and the level of rivalry which may exist with the different businesses in your particular industry. The threat of new entrants. There are normally 6 common barriers to entry. An ideal business opportunity will exist in a situation where there are high barriers to entry and low exit barriers. A barrier, according to the Merriam-Webster Online Dictionary, is something material or immaterial which prevents or hinders movement or action. High entry barriers will restrict entry into a business as opposed to low entry barriers. Economies of scale, capital and equipment investment requirements, the network effect, high switching costs, brand equity, customer loyalty, and distribution channels. These are some of the barriers to entry. Let's talk about the threat of new entrants. So it is 2008. You are a tuck shop owner in Soweto. A few houses or streets away, a container was just delivered. And this container, unbeknownst to you, will become a tuck shop, just like yours, but cheaper. This, then, was a new entrant. A threat, then, but a strong competitor, and in some cases, a leader in the tuck shop industry now. With a little analysis, let's see how the containers got it right. They were close enough to existing tuck shops to attract their customers, and less customers and less market share meant that established tuck shops experienced a huge amount of pressure and struggled to maintain profitability and remain in business. The newer entrants made use of many tactics, such as buying and selling their stock cheaper, and a communal pooling of resources to eat up, as it were, the existing market share of the local businesses. Looking at the economies of scale barrier, we can make an example with ShopRite, which boasts a large distribution network, where they buy in bulk and they can then transfer these discounts to their customers. In doing this, they are able to attract and retain more customers than other businesses operating in their industry. Capital investment requirements could either spell success or gloom for many a business. In our example, the majority of tuck shop owners owned the spaces which they operated from, and many of them had no rental costs to worry about. However, the new entrants had no land, let alone property, but they had containers and money, which they used to their advantage. They rented out backyards and placed their ready-to-work structures to good use. They found space and a base to operate from which allowed them to shake up the industry. So if one had to say, the capital requirement barriers for this industry were quite low. The third barrier is the network effect. This could also be regarded as the demand side of economies of scale, the people patronizing the business. It is simply a situation where goods increase in value because it is sought out by many people. An example of this would be WhatsApp and how it came to be a major player in communication between people. WhatsApp was easy to use, it was free, and a lot of people downloaded it onto their phones. As far as the network effect goes for WhatsApp, it actually ticked all the boxes. The fourth barrier to entry is customer loyalty. The majority of retailers have a loyalty card in one form or another. My wallet is tearing out at the seams because of the sheer number of loyalty cards in it. The trick here is this: give customers a reason to come back to your business through a mechanism which will reward them immediately or after a certain number of times after which they have patronized your business. Brand loyalty is the fifth barrier, and it refers to how entrenched in the minds of customers a particular brand has become. Take a moment to think about cool drinks. What brand did you think of? Does it come in a red can, or does it perhaps come in a blue can? We can even do it with phones. Did the brand which you thought of have an image of a certain fruit? Or does it come in the form of a robot? The sixth barrier is distribution channels, or the strength that your suppliers will have over your industry. In the tuck shop industry, the local retailers relied heavily and individually on bigger wholesalers whom they bought their stock from. The newer players presented a united front where they were able to buy stock and distribute it evenly amongst each other. So in essence, they created an extra player in the supply chain, which was themselves. This meant that they could enjoy discounts and more favorable credit terms, more so than what an individual owner could ever imagine to get. So let's go back. We now look at the threat of substitute products. Substitute products or services refer to the next best thing. In my opinion, the example with copper and fiber is the best. At one point, copper was the best way to transfer signals from one point to another. However, over the years, it was getting stolen and it proved expensive to maintain. Someone then found that creating cables from sand proved more reliable and cheaper. Another force, as identified by porters, are suppliers. They are a force which could spell doom and gloom for any business. Or if the relationship is just right, then they could spell success with a capital S. Most retail brands have moved to a point where they own their own distribution channels or networks. Early on in the late 90s and early 2000s, there was a big backward integration drive where retail brands found pride in saying that they have proudly produced and created a said product. This may prove to be useful or disastrous. Sometimes only time can tell. Customers, another factor in Porter's model, are your friends, and sometimes they can be your worst enemies. The more choice customers have, the less loyal customers may become. This is simple economics. Competition in too large a scale is never good for any business. The less competitors you may have as an individual is better for you. Think about it. If Eskom had competition, would they have been as relaxed as they have been on the extent of providing an essential service?
Thank you for joining us in this lesson. If you learned something, give the video a like, share, and subscribe for more great content.